Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFLW Fantasy Fanatics Round 3 preview ahead of the remaining 8 games of the season. Because we had a game last night, so we'll chat a little bit about that and then all of the other games coming up for this round. But I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BalesDT across the socials. And as always, if you'd like a question answered or a player that you would want discussed, put it in the live chat on YouTube or Twitter, and we will get to as many questions as we can in the next hour. Because we've got a game starting in about an hour and a half's time. So we'll be chatting through a heap of stuff. So getting keen for another weekend of AFLW. But joining me is my two co-hosts and fellow AFLW Fantasy Fanatics is Jaiden Mitch and Mitch. Jaiden, I'll start with you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, going well, Bales. And yeah, it was nice to get some players out of the way last night. So still a bit to plan out, but yeah, went all right.
Yeah. No, we'll just chat about that game in a sec. And Mitch, mate, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Ready for another weekend of pain and misery. Just why we play this game, I guess, is how things go.
So we'll start there because we didn't chat to you on Monday, mate. How are you? Have you recovered from Sunday? What was it? At like 5:05 p.m. You said that it was season.
That's when the game started out at my time. And that's when my season officially was over. Look, it got so bad and so unbelievably ridiculous that by the end of the game I was just laughing. I think I stopped watching. She had 54 points in the first 12 minutes or something like that, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to turn this off. This is no point in me watching this. And I tuned back in at full time, and I've seen the 180 or one. I think it got just to 190, and I thought, I'm okay. All right, it's the highest score ever in a round where everyone's got her captains. It's not like it's between rounds 4 and 7. There was 3 rounds where everyone was going to captain her, and she just put up the biggest score of all time, and I don't have her. So it was just what can you do? It's it's a bit of the risk was there, and it went as bad as it could. So it is what it is. So I guess, I would probably still do it again with all that said and done. It took a record-breaking performance for it to really kill me. And that was always a risk, but I still don't think that my logic for not starting her was flawed in any way. But yeah, it's obviously not worked.
Yeah. You would have thought taking 163 as vice captain. You would have been sitting back going boys.
I had the 163 locked in. I'm like, okay, and I was versing Liam in the Creators Cup, and I think I worked out, I was like, oh, if Noffy goes 122 or worse, I'll win. Fast forward, and she puts on 140 points basically on top of that. So I lost to Liam by 140 points. When I'm thinking, okay, 122 or better, and I might still get the job done. And it's just a massive difference.
Yeah, well, me and Jane are 2-0, mate, and you're 1-1, mate. Letting the team down, mate. You first lost the season, mate. No, good, mate. No, we'll quickly chat about last night's game. So we had the Bulldogs and Eagles. I was about to say the Giants then. I've probably got Giants in my head just because the bloody men's finals coming up. But we did have the Dogs and the Eagles going up last night, and with the West Coast Eagles getting the job done by 11 points there. A couple of notable scores. So everyone was sort of thinking, who was the West Coast mid to get? Was it Ella Roberts, who went well with the 106? Was really good if you jumped on her. Was it and Emma Swanson? Who was it? No, it was Ali Drennan was the answer. She's got 134. She was massive, and a big price rise incoming, and double game week could mean that her very few owners out there might get some good cash gen as well as a good score to start the round. As mentioned, Ella Roberts went really well as well with a 106. Izzy Pritchard as well with a 95. She was really good tackling like a madman there as well with 10 tackles. We'll come to Ellie Blackburn in a sec, but she scored 83. She was getting tagged by Bakar or Bakar. I can't remember, don't know exactly how to pronounce last name, but she was getting battered and bruised all night. And Edmund scored a 67, which is okay. Probably want a little bit more from her. Charlie Thomas had one massive quarter, but then after that was pretty quiet in most of the other ones. Just scored the 61 points there. Then you had Georgia Stather scored a 46. Jess Hosking with a 43. I think she'll probably need to go next week there, and not too much else happening there. Best Shilling as well. A few people brought in, myself included, scored a 39. So Mitch, did you have anyone playing last night?
Yeah, I traded Hosking to Schilling last night in my defense to make a bit of cash, and they both, I think, scored the exact same. So that was sort of a structure thing for me because last week's moves, bringing in Goldrick and Hosking, meant that I had Finn on my bench, so I wanted to move her onto my field. Was deciding between a few of the players that I had that were both. I think I had 3 round 4 double game round players, so decided to get in Schilling to keep that and hopefully get a bigger price move next week. And obviously, look, 39 you'd want for more, but at least it's someone who's still going to go up in cash, and then you've got the double game round. So all in all, it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, and the cash, as you said, the cash will keep going. Double price rise coming next week, which would be good. So, was she on field for you?
No, she's on my bench.
On your bench, yeah, cool. So, who'd you bring on field? Finn, Dana Finn? Was that who you moved on field?
Yeah, I moved Finn onto my field because I thought she's good enough to score on field, and obviously she outscored Hosking last week by a fair bit, so was happy to do that and restructure a little bit, and will probably affect what I do with my other moves.
Yeah, cool. Jaiden, who'd you have from last night's game?
I had Thomas, Hosking, and Edmonds, so I didn't actually make any moves last night. Partly because I didn't really know what to do, but also, it was pretty much only Edmonds that I was weighing up trading. I thought Hosking might have done the tagging role, but yeah, they actually got Backer to do it. So I'd say Edmonds 67 is probably like if I knew she was getting 67 beforehand, it's probably like the lowest score that I would take. A nice +4 after the game. I'd probably trade her, but like I could see a world where other trades work out and she scores 67. So it was not looking great. She was on like 2 at like 5 minutes left in the first quarter. So Thomas, Hosking, and Edmonds for me.
Yeah, I had the 3 as well. I had Thomas Hosking and Ellie Blackburn, which brought a tear to my eye when I don't think she'll be playing. Definitely playing 2 games next week, put it that way. And I don't know if she'll be playing either game next week because she got tackled. She got tackled. She's ran past the ball. Her ankle actually bent outwards, so that's not great. Then they said it's a foot injury, but so it'll be interesting to see if it's a ankle, foot, mixture of both. I'm not sure, but scans today, I'm not sure, so I haven't heard anything. But that's probably a forced trade for me. And Hosking's probably got to go. So 2 trades already, and we still have 8 games to go. So that's fantastic. But 83 from Ellie, considering that Backer was tagging her the whole night and she giving it to her like bloody. She kicked a goal, and Backer came in and cleaned her up after she hit the goal, and just like leave her alone, leave Ellie alone. One of scoring points for me, but. It is what it is. Not too bad of a start to the round anyway. But boys, we've got another 8 games to get through. So I'll start with Jaiden. You said last night you didn't know what trade you're doing. Do you not have any idea now what trade you're going to do? Because Friday, got to get them sorted.
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of want to get the Anderson and Benici, I think, locked in now. I don't love their matchups this week, but I think when I'm trying to figure out trades, often like what I do is just like procrastinate to the last moment and then decide, okay, I just want to have the most flexibility that I could possibly have next week. So for me, I think that looks like bringing them in early. That gives me 7 players on the double next week, which was my goal. So then I guess next week I can focus on a fix up the bench a bit, hopefully, because I've avoided the Blackburn. So hopefully I can get through that. I've traded to get them in. I've traded out Conti and I've traded out Maddie Prasparkas. So it's pretty sideways, but I want them. And I've gone Sheriff, who's injured, to Huntington. I played around with like paying up in the forward line, but to kind of do that, I'd have to trade Edmonds. And if I was trading Edmonds, then I would be left with like 400 grand left over because there's no expensive forwards. And getting Anderson. So yeah, I didn't love the Edmonds trade because it just left me with like 400 grand that I didn't know what to do with, and I don't really play like that. So I've done the sideways move, and I'll give Huntington a week, see how she goes against Gold Coast, which is a good matchup for defenders.
Yeah, no, I like it. Good moves there. Mitch, mate, where are you looking at going this week?
I've been a bit stuck as well. My goal is I want next week to be able to trade 2 rookie midfielders or basically a bunch of rookies to get one of my rookie mids up to one of those round 12 premiums, which is a tall order because obviously it's a bloody lot of money. So my sort of first goal this week was, okay, I need to get Finn on field and then ideally get rid of Smith and get her to someone who's at least making cash / scoring. So I've kind of gone early on trading out like a Wendland down to Ramos tonight. Again, just to low break even 3 games of the next 2 weeks, potentially getting a bit of a cash rise there, but also just cashing out a bit of money now. And then Smith at the moment, I've got Gabby O'Sullivan sitting in there, which moves Pauga to my bench. Again, I don't know if I love it. It leaves me 131,000 next week, which I don't know if it's going to be enough banked cash to make a goodie window Pauga down to 2 rookies and one up to sort of like a Benici or something like that. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough cash, but that would be my ideal preparation moves for next week so that I can enter the double game rounds with basically 5 premium mids, I think is my ultimate goal.
Yeah. I think it's a good goal as well. That's a few people talk about that, having the 5 premium mids with these double game weeks, trying to maximise as many points as possible. So no, I like it. My moves this week. So I went Conti down to shilling last night just so I didn't have to lock in multiple trades last night. But technically, it is just going a Lulu Beatty up to best shilling just to try and get that, again, the cash rise from the next couple of weeks there. Then I have done the Conti to Anderson trade. I'm doing that tonight. I just think with Conti with the tag from Tanya Kennedy, I'm a bit nervous with that. Might drop it in price. I feel like Ali Anderson's got to break in around 80. If she goes 110, 120 again tonight, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get her next week. So I feel like if I get her now, lock her in, and she's probably the best captain option next week with the two games, as long as she plays both. And then my trade to facilitate that, I am going Jess Allen down to Lily Pearce as a red dot ruck there, and putting Eilish O'Dowd on field. Just I think her scoring's just been too good to leave on. And I guess if I had more, Jess Allen's been a great pick, but I feel like her and O'Dowd's scoring is very similar. And if I can get O'Dowd on the field and use that cash elsewhere, that's what I'll be doing. So that banks me nearly 300k for next week. So I do Husky will go down to someone, play shilling for a week, and then use that cash for my midfield to get like a Britt Benicia and Ella Roberts or something. Is that premium mid? So that's they're my early plans for next week. So in terms of captains, I think Jaiden, I think me and you will both be going Marinoff again. I'd be assuming, Jaiden.
Yeah, if Ella Smith gets dropped, which I expect it to, then I'll give Marinoff the VC into row bottom, or I could VC Anderson, but I think I'll just go with row bottom as a fallback option. But yeah, I mean, if I didn't have a loop, then yeah, I have to captain Marinoff straight up.
Yeah, I'll be doing the same. But unless Ella Smith again gets dropped, I'll do the same thing with you. I'll be going VC Marinoff in a row bottom. But if Ella Smith is named, I've got Lily Pearce there as my red dot. She plays before Crows and Gold Coast, so I'll be going Ali Anderson VC tonight into a Ebony Marinoff. Mitch, mate, what are you doing with your captain and vice captain this week?
So I lost my red dot this week, which
Fiedler came in.
Yeah, so Fiedler came in. So
hey, what is it with St Kilda and Rucks? The men's Dum-de-dum, and then in the women's, they've got all 3 named. Obviously, one will probably make way, if not 2, but
couldn't even last the 3 weeks until the double game round. So after all this, it's got me 14 points with the VC loophole, and I've missed out on probably one of the best rookies of the year in O'Dowd. So the whole fading Noffies had a big domino effect on my team, and it's put me in a bit of a shit spot. But anyway, I will. I guess I'll throw a VC on one of the earlier games, and if Smith is not named, and I do get a big VC score from maybe someone like, I don't know, maybe someone like a Riddell or a Mon Conti, then it might change my trade plans, and I might keep someone like Ella Smith and maybe just bank a little bit more cash and do it that way. But ultimately, I'll be going into row bottom, I think.
Yeah, I like the Riddell VC pick. I think Melbourne. We saw Ali Anderson did to Melbourne last week, so I think Riddell could be up for another good score again. So, cool. We'll be answering now a heap of your questions. So make sure you keep putting them in the live chat on YouTube and Twitter, and we'll get to as many as we can before the end of the show. But before we do, Jaiden or Mitch, either one of you, is there any sort of last minute things you wanted to sort of quickly touch on before we answer some questions?
For me, it was just like, if we're looking for cash generators, like who are the players that we think are the most important to get in? Like, obviously, I think, did all of us get in Schilling last night? Are there any other players like rookie price, like 450 or cheaper, that we think have a chance to stay in the side and make some cash over the next, and like quick cash over the next like 2 or 3 rounds?
I'm not sure. I don't think you jumped on Beth Schilling last night, didn't you? You said you didn't jump on her.
No, I didn't lock anything in last night, so I passed on her. The funny thing is, like, doing all these break-even stuff, like looking at it so much, I almost forget like the point of them, and so I don't actually think, oh, Schilling has the lowest break-even, I should get her in, and everyone does it. I'm like, what? Why did I not even consider that? But yeah, I didn't get her. I think the rookies with the lowest break-evens are the ones that have already played, and like you can almost take a punt on 300k players, but it is risky. I think Ramos is probably one in the midfield, but the midfield is pretty luxury because like you need like cheap players who go well, but because of how fast the price moves, you just don't get a chance to get them if they do go well enough.
That's.
I find the hardest thing in AFLW is like you've got to
nail them at the start.
These rookies like first up, otherwise the value's gone and you've missed it, and you're not going to make enough cash to then make the upgrade you want, and it's hard. You've got a very tight window, so I'm finding that quite difficult.
Well, I think that the 3 that people are still bringing in this week that are over 500k now that have been really good so far is Dana Finn in defence, Ollie Show down the ruck, and Ruby Tripodi in the forward line. So I think I've got all 3. Jan, I think you've got all 3, and I know Mitch, you've got 2 of the 3. Would any of you guys be recommending bringing any of these 3 girls into your team, or is it too expensive now that they're near 600k that you would either be trying to save as much cash as possible, or at least going in the 400s or the 300s, or even trying to see if you can go up to say 800-900k? Mitch, what are your thoughts as someone that hasn't got a doubt? Has she been in your mind of potentially bringing in, or would you recommend anyone bring her, Finn, or Tripodi in if they don't have them?
I think you could, definitely. I think the thing that makes them options is that they're options on your field, and they're scoring just as good as some of the other players on our field anyway, like especially in the lines that they're in, the forward, the ruck, and the defender line. I think it's not too late for these players, because not even just their cash generation, but their scoring. I didn't do the O'Dowd move simply because Edmonds has her double game round the next week. If I had any other ruck, like if I had obviously
Ali Morphy obviously dropped, obviously out,
but yeah, if I had Jess Allen or any other ruck outside of Edmonds or Frederick, I'd probably be making the move and going down to an O'Dowd. I considered it anyway, but just thought because she's already gone up a bit that I'm going to try and bank the scoring of the next 3 rounds, or next 3 games, I should say, from Edmonds over than an O'Dowd, and just hope that, I don't know, she has a down game or something like that and the cash doesn't go up too much. But I think the others in the defense and the forward line, just because they're scoring just as well as any other player, I think that they're fine to bring in. And Tripodi's got a great role. Like, she looked really good to my eyes in the first week. You can kind of excuse her when she started so well and had the hot game. So I think there's good signs for all of them.
Yeah. Well, James just got the break evens up for us as well, which is great.
So
most traded in out. So sorry about that. But well, Jaden, sort of before we sort of discuss what's on the screen here, your thoughts on Finn, Tripodi, O'Dowd? Could you still bring him in?
Oh yeah, especially if you're giving him a go on field, it's difficult because a lot of these downgrades are on the bench. So here's the main ones, and it's really only Hartill that's under 400k. Obviously, Schilling locked in. So there's not a lot of coaches that are actually, I guess, mucking around with the bench at the moment. So in that case, I'm not massively worried because there aren't a lot of options. But it's pretty much all sideways trading at this point. So you could consider it. What I would recommend is probably try and get on new rookies that are playing, like debuting or whatever. We've got Fiddler, because like if she has a decent role, then she'll go up a bit. But just with how the price system works, you're not going to get very much extra just for like paying up at another 150,000. It is difficult, but you kind of have to play fantasy in a more, I guess, representative way of like what you need to get out of a player instead of just like picking who everyone else is picking and going, okay, because in the men's pricing system, you get so long to get onto a player. But in this, you need to actually kind of predict the future, which I really like. So if you can like do your research and find a player that is probably going to get a good role in a game, I'll just go right down to the basement if you can. And that's what everyone seems to be doing because there's no basement rookies here.
So exactly. So what are you guys doing with Ella Smith then? Like, are you just leaving her? Like, what's the plan there?
I'm leaving her there, but just because I don't see a forward rookie at the moment where I've gone, yeah, they're going to come in and they're going to score really well straight away. Whereas I saw Lulu Beatty's is only scored the couple of 20s, and I saw Beth Schilling just popped 68 or 70 odd in round 2. Got a 39 last week, but I thought, well, she's got double coming up. They've got a couple of tricky games next week, one against Collingwood and Brisbane. So I thought, well, 2 teams you'd expect to score. The ball will be down there. She could put up a couple of okay scores and rise up in price. But that's why I went that move. But in terms of the forwards, I'm just leaving Ella Smith there, I think.
Yeah, same.
And just hoping that she can put out a 40 or 50 and make some cash. So
what are your thoughts on like, going right up to someone like I think you had, who was on that list you just had there? The Hawks player. No, the Hawks player that was at 5. It was like the bottom of that trade.
Bridie Hipwell.
Yeah, like someone like that, or like I've got Gabby O'Sullivan, like someone like who's you're paying up an extra, what's that, 280,000, moving another player to the bench. Like, what are you guys' thoughts on that move, just to at least get some kind of cash generation from that position? The thing for me is like I've missed out on an O'Dowd, which everyone else has kind of got the cash generation in that position. So I'm feeling like I'm a little bit behind in terms of cash compared to a lot of other people. So that's why I'm feeling a bit like, okay, I've got to maybe do something in another position. But do you reckon I'm like forcing the needle a little bit there?
Well, I was looking at that move last week, doing the Ella Smith up to Gabby O'Sullivan, benching Powinga, and I didn't go for it just because I feel like because it's such a short season, until that there's a basement player that I'm happy for, I don't want to be spending up too much if I can help it, unless there was a double game week player in the forward line that I was like, yeah, they're going to make triple cash. So, for example, Carly Ramos the forward, I would be probably making the move from like a Smith to Ramos, but because she's a mid, it's a bit harder. The Beatty to Schilling, I think, was good. Again, as I said, you get the 3 price rise in the next 2 weeks. You get Defender in, which I thought was a bit better in that way. So that's why I'm just keeping Ella Smith there. And I still think Pounga's okay to be on field. She's got back 40s. Like, it's not like forwards are doing too much more than that. So I'd probably only say that if that 200k could be used better in another trade, I'd probably do that personally. But if you're short by 100k and you can't do it, and that's the best thing you can do, I'd probably go ahead and do that, Jaden.
Yeah, I considered it as well. It's funny because I actually traded Gabby O'Sullivan out last week, and that created another issue with Sheriff. So like, I can't do anything with Smith because I've got Sheriff as a forced trade. So I talked about if I'd traded down Edmonds, it'd give me a lot of money, but then I can't do anything with Smith because I'm already trading Sheriff. So that's all my 3 trade outs already done. I do like the move of getting her off and putting someone more expensive on the bench, like Pauga or not really Tripodi at this stage. But yeah, I'm probably not considering it just because, I can't. And I didn't do it last week because I just don't really want to spend heaps of money in the forward line, and I don't know if I really want to waste a trade there when I'm trying to set up for the double game weeks. But
yeah,
at this stage, what I am planning to do is probably try some of that next week because I'll have all my players already in place. Like I've got 7 for the double game next week already, so hopefully I can figure something out then. And if there's a rookie that goes well, then I'll go then.
And what about, so if you were to compare like that kind of move versus like trading like a Mon Conti to an Ali Anderson, like how do we feel about doing those kind of sideways moves? I mean, Bales, you said you were doing that. Like, is there a risk that it's just like sideways and you don't gain anything and you've paid 200K for a similar type of score? I know they've got double game round coming up, but Mon Conti also has a double game round coming up.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. The reason I'm doing it is because the fact that Monconti's break-even's high this week. I expect another tag, which means that I don't see her really going much over 110. If Kenny does go to, if she doesn't, then it could be bad. She could easily match or even outscore Ali Anderson this week. But I'm doing it to I guess, Conti's not going up this week. She's only going to stay same price or go down. Ali Anderson, I expect to go decent enough tonight where she'll go up. And then she'll be my captain next week. So I'll have her in place. And then my plan would be still to move an Ali Anderson on in round 5 to a Jazz Garner or an Ash Riddell, obviously, because Ellie Blackburn has to go next week. My plan would have been to have gone Blackburn to a Garner or Riddell, but obviously I'm probably going to have to trade her out. So that's sort of the plan, is to get Anderson for the next sort of 3 games in 2 weeks, get hopefully some cash gen as an added bonus, but she'll be my captain option next week, lock her in, and then potentially move her on after that. But I don't have to. I can always keep her, but that's sort of just the sort of plan that's sort of temporarily in place until it gets ruined by, I'm sure, from an injury or something. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, that's my thinking behind that. We got a super chat here from Sam. So, I'll quickly answer this one here. So, he says that, would you guys tick these trades off? So, he's going Sheriff, Morfitt, and Hurley. So, unfortunately, 2 fourth bullets in the week, to Fiedler / Pierce, O'Sullivan, and Anderson. Also, who would you field out of Breed, Goody, and Window? So we'll answer the rookie one just first, just sort of who are we fielding out of Breed, Goody, and Window?
I'm going for Window at this stage.
Yeah, I'm probably still backing in Sinead Goody. You're going to go Breed, Mitch, so then it makes it harder.
I'm trying to find a coin. I have no idea. At the moment, I've got Goody on my starting 5. Yeah, I don't know. From what I've watched and heard, Goody seems to just have a little bit more of that pedigree, but she's obviously that bit more of a winger. Freo, a bit more of tackle heavy game, which probably lends itself to Window, but yeah. Window still only managed a 43 with 7 tackles against Adelaide with, like six disposals. So even if she does get a fair few tackles and that, she's still capable of putting up a poor score. So I don't know.
And even a Mateo Breed with Sheriff out and McDonough named, there's every chance that Mateo Breed plays some extra midfield time this week. So she does have the Crows. That's probably the only thing that would sway me away from that. But yeah, I think Window or Goody. I think, as you boys said, I think the Freo game style with the tackles probably lends itself to Window. I guess I'm just backing Goody just because I feel like if I bench Goody this week and were to play, well, I don't have Window, so I'm glad I don't have to make that call. But if I had both and you've had Goody on field, I could just feel that if you bench Goody and play Window, Goody's going to be the one that goes big. It's that rookie roulette thing. So I'd probably just prefer, if you've had Goody on field all the time, just play her. And just, if it doesn't work, then is what it is. It's rookie roulette. But if you want to back in the matchup with the tackles, then Window's probably your better bet there with the role in the midfield. But yeah, so in terms of the trades, what do you think, Jaiden? Are you a fan of that? And also, who would you be going Fiedler to get another player playing? Or would you be getting Lily Pearce to get in that guaranteed red dot? Because unfortunately, we heard today that Lily Pearce did an ACL, so she'll be out for the whole season. So she would be the red dot of choice. But where would you be going to rucks? And then your thoughts on the trades?
Yeah, I think we just talked about the cash generation. I'm pretty keen to go Fiddler for that reason. Yeah, the red, I guess she could end up, but the worst case scenario, she doesn't play amazing. She becomes a red dot pretty much instantly. And she doesn't end up making that much money, but at least you've given yourself a chance of it being okay. She obviously must have something. If they've got 2 rucks and she's the backup third, and then she gets a game, one of them's getting dropped.
They got named on field as well.
So she must have a little bit there. So I'm pretty keen to go her. I can't do it this week because I've got Sheriff, and I didn't do the Edmonds trade because of Sheriff. So yeah, I'd go with Fiddler. Best case scenario, she goes amazing, stays in the team, makes money. Worst case scenario, she gets dropped and becomes a red dot. So you end up with a red dot anyway.
Yeah. Do you think
the trades are really good? Yeah, I like the trades.
Yeah, I like the trades as well. But with the red dot ruck, do you think it's still, you're looking at that for using as your red dot to sort of loop multiple sort of double game week captains? Like, for example, next week you'd be able to go like a Benici vice captain into an Anderson, and then the week after you might be able to go if you've got, I think Conti plays first, or one of the North girls, you'd be able to go sort of one into the other. So would you prefer the red dot in that regard, or do you still think you'd still prefer the cash gen and you just back in a player captain for that week and wouldn't be worried about looping?
Yeah, if you've got Marinoff, which I assume you would in this, or I just assume you would. Then you're gonna be captaining her this week, which is fine. You can have a look at it next week, but I feel like with red dots, they kind of just come to you anyway. I'm kind of banking on Ella Smith being a red dot this week, and I wouldn't have started her if I knew she would be ending up out of the team. But yeah, I can see where it has merit, because I'm getting Benici and Anderson in, and I do want to do a VC loop there next week. And if I don't have a red dot, then I probably will bring one in. So I think you could still have a crack at the cash generation though, because getting a red dot in is really easy because they're so cheap. So you can always do it again later.
Well, I think the good thing.
I was going to say, could you just wait until you see what your VC scores?
Yeah, sure.
If it's a great score, then you get the red dot. If it's and again, assuming if you're a Marinoff owner, and anyone who knows anything is a Marinoff owner, so if it's an average score, if it's a 110, probably take a crack at a green dot and see if you can get some good cash generation. But if your VC scores 150, well then trade in a red dot, because I think Saints don't play till the second last game, and Melbourne play on Sunday as well. So if you put a VC on anyone playing on Saturday, then or tonight, if you got an Anderson or a Benici or something like that, then you can just use that to let you decide.
Yeah, well, because I was going to say, if you're bringing in a red dot, you won't be able to see an Anderson, for example. If you're trading sort of there, you might not be able to. Actually, no, sorry, Anderson, you would be able to have a look at. But I know a lot of people, if they're bringing in Lily Pearce, can only look at a couple, because I know Geelong play a bit earlier in terms of the games tomorrow. But I guess the good thing is we will get teams.
Geelong play before Melbourne. Melbourne play 105 Sunday, so you can have a look at anyone from Geelong, Freo, Carlton, Richmond, Sydney, Port Adelaide, Lions, and Collingwood. So I guess your VCs from North Melbourne you can't have a look at. You can't have a look at, obviously, Rowbottom, who plays the last game. You can't have a look at Marinoff, who plays the same time.
Yeah. If Ella Smith's not named, you can look at anyone, which is good because obviously Ella Smith plays the final game of the round. And the good thing is, like I've got Lily Pearson at the moment as my red dot, but the good thing is we'll get teams in about, I think we might get, I don't know if we're getting them before the game starts or not. I think we might get them 5 minutes before the Brisbane Collingwood game starts if they're anything like the men's. So if Fiedler's named Silo Ruck and if Nolder and Karras are both dropped, I'll probably go that way. Whereas I feel if they're sharing, I'll probably just go Lily Pierce to get the red dot in, just to give myself 2 cracks at a captain. But I like the move, especially if you're behind with cash in as well, maybe taking a punt on and getting a Fiedler, that could be a way. Because if she pops a 50 or a 60, you're golden. You've already got yourself 100 and 150k. So yeah, I like it. We'll go to other questions here as well. So Sean said, "Hey boys, is Sheeran wait a week? And would you go Darcy instead?" So Mitch, would you be going Sheeran this week off injury, or do you think you'd be going Daisy Darcy?
I'd be going Daisy Darcy. She looked great. I think she looked really good in that last game. Like D1 kind of worthy. So I think I think I'd definitely go there and wait a week on Sheeran. I think that's just my general rule for anyone coming off an injury, is just wait a week, especially someone who's already sort of near the top of the price for their position. So yeah, for me it's definitely Darcy.
Yeah, I'll be in agreement with that. I think we all are as well. Daisy does look good. I brought her in Bolter this week. Sometimes she has a good game there. And then Sean also said, Jaiden, Friswell or Chelsea Randall? So that's been a very popular question this week. Friswell is a lot more highly traded in than Chelsea Randall, which I know is a little bit of a surprise. I think it's quite a bit of a close call. But who would you be going between the two?
I played around with Friswell this week. I didn't really consider Randall at all. And the main thing is just like over the next 3 weeks, neither of them have a double. In that time, Geelong have the best run for midfielders and Crows have the worst. So that's why Friswell was only ever in my consideration instead of Randall.
Yeah, I think I'll be going Friswell as well, as much as everyone knows how much I like Chelsea Randall there. But I just think that with the later double as well, because also Geelong got the earlier, I think round 6, I believe, is their double. And they got a good run leading up to that as well. So I think she'll not only make cash Friswell, but she'll also put up some good scores. So I'll be going the Frizz there out of the two. Doug Fitzpatrick said, traded Edmonds last night. Do I go Pounger and Huntington? Or Davies, Sydney solo ruck, and Anderson double game coming. That's very, very confused. There's a lot of questions there. So traded Edmonds last night. Do I go Pounger and Huntington? I'm a bit. I'll put the question on the thing. I'm trying to sort of read. I'm a bit confused. There's a lot of questions in there. If any of you boys can understand and answer the question, if you want.
I have no idea.
Davis is an interesting one because, like, if I was trading Smith, then I could go to her as a forward, 397k. And like Morfitt's just managed right, like she should be back next week. So that's a little bit concerning. But like if you kind of are trying to get some cash gen, like she'd play the first 2 games, even though she didn't do heaps, but like she could just get one good game now with a good role. Like you pretty much just want to identify roles to try and make cash. So I don't mind it as a player. She's probably not going to be ruck next week, but like you could play the 2-week kind of deal and try and get some money. It's better than a lot of the other stuff we have at F6.
Yeah, I think I understand the question. I think he's asking, which one of the 3 of Pounger, Huntington, or Davies does he go? And then he's also getting Anderson because the Edmonds out. So obviously we all like Anderson. Obviously that's a good option. I'd be going Huntington out of the 3 forwards. Just I think the role's more secure. She's scoring quite well there, so I'd probably be going that way. What have we got here? So Tyler, actually, I don't understand what that question is, but JD from FTTV said, nice to see Bales, JP, and Mitch. Hope you'll have a great weekend. Thanks, JD, mate. Hope you have a good weekend as well, mate. How's your ranking going, JD? Put in the chat. I wonder where you ranked at the moment. Damon Snell said, did Edmonds down to Fiedler, would you tick off Saint and Watson to Friswell and Daisy Darcy? So, Mitch, what do you think of that? But I think I love those trades.
Yeah, I think they're good. I'm a big fan of Daisy Darcy, like I said before, and I think I'm fielding good about Amelie.
Well, g'day. And also we've got another special guest, that Luke Rogerson from the Ball Boys has jumped on, mate. There you go. No, he's rubbing off on you, mate. We love to see it. So, no, it's a good one. Yeah. That's good. And Damon Snell also said our final teams updated same time as men's, or are they different in the women's comp? No, well, for last night that the exact same time as the men's. So from what we're seeing, I know last year they updated like an hour before they got announced on the app, and they weren't published until the men's. But it seems like this year that it's sort of all on track. So I think that they're same time as the men's, which means the Sunday squads will be trimmed in about 43 minutes time, which will be 5 minutes before the game starts there. David Paddy, Field Goody or Sachi Syme? Jaiden, who would you be fielding out of those two?
Ooh. So I'm fielding Window over Goody. So I guess that means I would probably field Syme over Goody as well. Just go for the Freo have been the highest stoppage team so far. So you can just try and get onto that. I mean, some of the games have been pretty ridiculous from that. But, give Syme another crack, I think.
Yeah. That's scored of both games. You know, they both had like the same pattern where both of them started good in round one, had a bad round two score, but Syme's got a both times.
I don't know if I'm being stubborn. I'm still backing Goody in. I guess I'm still backing the junior numbers. We saw the good scores pre-season. She got like a 110 or something in that pre-season game as well. I guess I'm just backing that in, but that's probably just because I'm afraid to bench her, and then she goes massive, and then someone else goes worse. So I'm probably doing that. But it's rookie roulette, I think, at the end of the day. I think almost assuming get these 5 pre mids better, then we don't have to worry about who we're putting on field.
I think these kind of questions really drives that point home that starting double game rounds, we don't want to have these kind of decisions because, just having those 2 games of a premium mid is very valuable. Yeah,
well, I did see that one of the guys in our Discord chat was saying that he's looking at leaving a midfield spot free to play Goody and her double in week 5, and then like Mateo Breed in week 6. Is there any sort of Are any of us considering leaving a midfield spot free to play like a Goody, a Window, a Breed during the double game? So we're just trying to get these 5 premium midfielders in, and then we'll worry about maybe rookies playing doubles in other lines, like a Schilling next week in the defence or something like that. Jaiden, what are your thoughts with that?
I can see how people would do it if they started with 2 rookies in the midfield. So if you started with Breed and Goody on field and Window on the bench, and also Syme, so if you're running a few of them, I can see how that seems the only outcome you can kind of get to. You probably would have gone to Ella Roberts last night to get another mid or something like that. But yeah, if you are struggling, then it's not a bad play. You just got to be making sure you are using the cash that other people could be like putting into that midfield. So if you've got like enough double games set up in your other lines, if you've already got players that are looking like keepers for the rest of the year, like Darcy or like that, then yeah, could work out. I mean, they are going to be maxed out in price, so they're not going to like, just because it's that double game and they score 120 doesn't mean they're going to go up as if they scored 120, though, I believe. I have no idea, but I'm assuming that they'll...
Yeah, I'd imagine it'd be a bit like the opening round for the men's this year. It'll just be as if they played a game, they go up in price, but it's, I think, as you said, I remember we had you on a pod, and it's almost like hidden behind the wall of like what their price is, and then they break even, and then they go up again. So it's just essentially like 2 weeks worth. We don't know what their break even would be, I guess, after, unless you someone was able to work it out. And I'm sure, Jane, you'd be able to work it out, obviously doing all the break evens and stuff. So, but yeah, no, I don't mind it. But yeah, I think the 5 pro mids is where we're probably looking at going as well. Ashnan Curvis says trade 1, field 1. So Syme, Goody, Window, and Breed. So Mitch, you got to trade 1, you got to field 1. So again, these mids. Who are you trading out of the 4, and who are you fielding?
Oh, who am I trading? They're all good options, I feel like. Jeez. Who's got the most money?
Sachi Simon's got the most money. I'm probably trading Sime
Yeah.
just because she's
Yeah.
the most expensive.
That'd be my reasoning, is trading someone and just getting the most cash. Like, she's 100,000 more than Goody and Window. So that $100,000 extra might just give you more flexibility next week. And if we're tossing up, we don't know who's going to score more, then I'd probably just try and bank as much cash as I could. Would be my rationale, but that's without much confidence of knowing who's going to score more than the others. So,
yeah. Jaiden, who are you? Question is, what are their break evens? That'd probably be a good one. What are the 4 break evens for Sime, Goody, Window, and Breed?
I think they're in order of the price as well. So, I know Goody's is slightly higher than Breed. Obviously, you'd keep Window from a break-even perspective. Symes is the highest, so it's only 36 though. But you kind of need to be thinking 1 week ahead. Like, if she comes out and scores a 50, then she's probably going to be very close to maxing price. So you could get off her probably the earliest. I mean, she probably has the best role though. I haven't looked at that yet, but if you're fielding it, that's the thing. If you have to field one, then I'd probably say Sime. But then if you're trading one, then I'd also say Sime.
Yeah, exactly. Because we did see, as you said, I think the Sime's got the better role because she's playing full-time mid essentially, whereas Goody's full-time wing. Window has been mid, but then she was also forward for big chunks of the game last week as well. She was on the bench a lot as well. Her game time was quite low. So, and we saw her game time in round 1 even was still a little bit lower as well. So that's probably the only worry. And even Breeds has been a little bit lower. So, again, rookie roulette at the end of the day. But, yeah, I think Sime's probably the one to go there. Luke Bowman, any rooks in the forward line or defence that you would trade Ella Smith and Beattie to? Have traded Morrison to Benici for next week and was just looking to replace Smith and Beattie with my other trades. So that's obviously, we're talking a little bit about that before. Jaiden, is there any other, obviously Schilling was obviously the defender rookie last night, but is there any other defender or forward rookies that you'd suggest, maybe I guess under 450K that you'd be recommending?
Yeah, it's tough pickings. I guess the best one based on average is Hendry from Carlton in defence. 49 last week. She did start a little bit above 300K and she's now 387. She's got the lowest break even out of any, apart from Schilling, who's already locked. So, yeah, Hendry from Carlton. I'm assuming she's picked, There's not much else. I guess in the forward line, you could go Davis or... Yeah, there's not a lot there. Williamson scored 34 from Essendon. I don't know much about these because I haven't really looked at them at all. So
yeah, if you could get a ruck, Eleanor Hartill's one that could make a bit of cash, especially with the double next week. But she's a bit more expensive as well. And you're asking for obviously forward and defenders, so you probably can't bring them in. But yeah, tough going with the rookies, unfortunately. That's partly why I jumped on Schilling, just because the lack of other options there. Sam says trade in O'Sullivan or Huntington. So Mitch, this would be a good question for you as someone's looking at O'Sullivan. You've already got Huntington, don't you?
Yeah, I got Huntington last week, and I liked what I saw. She started really slow last week, but still got to a 80, to a 51. What did she go up? Another 78K.
Would you be going her over O'Sullivan?
I think Sullivan is probably more proven, right? And from what I understand, I don't know if you have the CBA data in front of you there. She looked like she was playing a bit more midfield on the weekend, like a bit of midfield, bit of halfback. Is that right?
She did some of each. I traded her out last week because just the eye test was pretty bad from the opening game. She's just kind of a bit of a general defender, not really a distributor. Because Ash Braz is the one who I kind of missed. I almost did it at F6 because I recognised the name from coming from a netball family, but she's kind of taking a lot of the distributing roles. Like, I'm pretty sure her meters gained is like almost the best in the comp, Ashbrad. So O'Sullivan doesn't really have the best role, and I think like she could get rested. Or so I like Huntington because she did okay against Richmond last week, who haven't been the best for defenders over the last while, and she's got Gold Coast this week, who are close to the best.
Yeah, it's a good matchup.
Yeah,
and Adelaide playing Freo playing Adelaide last week. Like, I knew O'Sullivan would go okay, but I just didn't really want to have her moving forward.
Yeah, I'll be going Huntington out of the two as well, I think, as well. OG Eagles, Anderson surely gets hard tagged at some point. Well, you probably think so after breaking the clearance record in week 1 and then getting the most possessions last week. But I don't know if you boys, either of you guys concerned about any Anderson hard tags, because from what I've seen, she has gone to another level, and breaking the clearance record is, she's clearly getting her hands on the ball first. And I still think a large, I know 43 possessions, you're always going to have a large bulk of it being uncontested, but she did have a fair few contested possessions as well last week. So I feel like she's at a point where she can still break through tags. And I still think girls like Kathy Svark and that will help out. I think Brisbane is the sort of team that will help out a player if they get tagged. I don't know what you boys think. I'm not as concerned. I do think she'll cop attention, but I'm not sure. Any of you guys concerned?
I mean, yes. You can't go and have those 2 awesome games and not like coaches have obviously seen that. I think the reason you're trading in Anderson this week is not necessarily for her score this week. It's so you can load up on the round 4 double game. So if you can get one of them in this week, you can get another one in next week and maximize that. And you can do so before their price gets even more expensive. I don't think you're trading in those players with the idea that they're going to drop 130 this week because they've been doing that the last couple of weeks. So I have no problem trading them in. I guess I would just temper expectations, because I do think that, I mean, anyone with eyes can see that she's killing it. So you'd probably want to stop her doing that if you want to win the game. So, how effective that is, it seems to me like the best players in the AFLW seem to get decent enough scores anyway. It might just take the ceiling off, but I still think I'd back her in for like a 90 plus.
Yeah, I think I would as well. Jaiden?
I haven't even really looked at it for that reason. Like, I'm pretty much just getting... I really don't want to get Benici either this week, because the Brisbane matchup is like -10 for midfielders. So it's more just about, she's like, their break-evens are in the like 70 to 80 range. I'd probably rather get them now than pay more next week, because I will be getting them next week. Like, I will have them in my team next week, unless Anderson gets rested for this first upcoming game. But so it's for that exact reason. I'm not really worried about the tags, because I'm probably just going to have them anyway.
Yeah, there is a risk. I was just going to say, there's a risk. Like, we saw Ellie Blackburn was someone that in your team, Bales, you were hoping was going to be there for that round 4 double game round. Like, there's always the risk that either they get injured. We don't know what teams are going to be doing in terms of resting. Like, this first double game round, I know we're all keen to jump onto it, but it's the first one, and we're going to get a better indication of how conservative coaches are going to be for different teams. So there might be a risk of overexposing ourselves to a lot of these double game round players. And if coaches do go into, like AFL coaches, go into these things and go, okay, no, we're actually going to rest some of our players in these ones. If you're overexposing that first one without actually seeing it yet, you might be, at a bit of a risk there. Or at least maybe not a risk, because at least you'll probably get at least one game out of them, and just like any other team, but you won't get that upside that you thought you were getting by putting all your eggs into that, double game week.
Yeah. And see that, because that's the other thing as well that's good about bringing in one of these players, is that you don't have to lock in as many trades as well in early in the week, because if you're using all 3 trades next week on Brisbane, Collingwood, West Coast and Bulldogs players, your trade's going to be locked in on latest Wednesday night, or they'll be all locked in by then. Whereas it's good if you bring in 1 or even 2 of them this week, might only have to use one trade early next week, and then if there's any carnage or anything that happens, that's after. But I guess the question I'm probably sort of going to, and I think a few people are in this boat, is it Anderson or Benici this week? Because even while we've been discussing here, the more I'm sort of leaning about it, I'm like, well, could I go Benici, who she's not going to get it. She's never really going to be tagged, I don't think, just because if anyone's I think Brie Dave, if anyone would be tagged, to be her. But obviously she's been injured and stuff like that. You save a bit of money with that, but obviously the matchup's not great. Ali Anderson, on the other hand, could go well tonight. She's obviously more expensive, but is there a chance she gets rested in the first game of next week and you bring her in? Whereas I don't know if Benici going to get rested just because of how much footy she missed, not last in the season before with the ACL. So I think she just want to play every game. But where would you boys be going? Is it Benici and saving cash for next week, or are you going for an Ali Anderson?
Benici just because of price, I think. I'm leaning. Like, again, could they score similar? Yes. Yeah, Anderson is definitely, I think, a better player, but 400,000 difference, roughly.
And she can only go, and I guess if they score the same, Benici will go up more because she's cheaper.
Yeah.
Whereas Anderson won't go up as much. And that's sort of part of my thinking is that we have said as well about, and they are favoured quite heavily to win this game. So it's like, well, could Anderson just be rested a bit because they got a game on Wednesday?
Yeah. But then Jaiden brought up the point, obviously Brisbane's a shit matchup. So, it's a tough call. I'm not too sure.
Jaiden?
Yeah, I'm getting both. Benici's priced at 91. Anderson's priced at 117, which seems like a lot. But Noffy's priced at 140 right now, so it's actually not that much. I guess. I personally want both. If I had to get one this week, and you can afford it, then I'll just go Anderson because, I don't know how well Benici's going to go this week. And if she doesn't go well, like say she comes out and scores a 70, you're probably not going to get her next week. But like with Anderson, you're probably going to want her anyway. The risk is getting rested or managed in game. Like she could only play a half, but like I don't know. I'm not really worrying about that because it's kind of out of my control. So I don't really want to spend all these times going over it. I've been pretty set on Anderson all week.
Yeah. I'm still tossing up with it. I'm still thinking, do I want to go in next week with a lot of cash and I can might be. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's something I'll be tossing up between. We'll finish off with these final couple of questions here as well. Dimitrios Garris says Allen. So I'm assuming that's Jess Allen to Basement, Watson to Geordie Allen, and Berylson to Friswell. Thoughts, Jaiden? What are your thoughts on the trades?
Yeah, it looks all right. Allen's interesting one. Pretty cheap. Heard her name a few times. She can be very hit and miss, as you've seen over the first 2 weeks. So I don't mind it. Only 600K. That's good enough to be priced at.
Got the double
price at 46. So like price at 46 is quite low for what like you have it in your mind. So I don't mind it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind as well. I like it. Ryan Warden, Tripodi and 300K next week, or Friswell, Mitch?
Tripodi.
I guess it probably depends what your 300K you're using for next week, right? Probably depends what.
I like the idea of going into next week with a bit of cash to try and get that upgrade, and maybe see if you can get a legitimate upgrade ahead of people. If you don't have the 5 mids already, I think having that cash to get that 5th midfielder premium upgrade, I think is pretty valuable. So I'm going to lean that way.
It's a good call. I would have probably just said on the face value Friswell just to lock in, but it's a good call. I guess it depends what your midfield's looking like. If you need that cash to upgrade, then that's definitely something to look at. Jaiden, would you probably agree with that as well? Maybe if you only got 3 pre-mids or even maybe 4, you might want to leave that extra bit of cash to upgrade.
Yeah, well, I'm always in the boat of I don't really want to spend heaps of money in the forward line. So Huntington's my F3 at the moment. I just think it could go wrong so quickly. And then basically the way I'm setting up, I just don't want to have to use trades in the defender and forward line as much as I can. because I want to get Garner, I want to get Riddell, all these other players that I want to be able to captain. So I don't want to be wasting trade. Like if Friswell suddenly goes terrible and she's losing money, you probably want to get off her. I mean, I have considered Friswell this week. I think she's the best of the expensive options. And yeah, if you've already got some players locked in and you don't need the cash, then yeah, go for it. But yeah, I like keeping the cash for next week.
Yeah, I'm probably agreeing with that as well. We'll go to the final one, actually final two here. So Damon Snell, who do you think will benefit most from Prasparkas, Blackburn and Morfitt in each respective teams? Also, if Sheeran doesn't get midfield time, what would we need her to score to feel comfortable trading in the next couple of weeks? So yeah, obviously with Sheeran it would just be if she's the role and time on ground, the score, everything. I think none of us are really looking at probably bringing around until round 5 is when she's got a double. So yeah, that's probably what we're looking at doing there. But yeah, it's a good shout there. But yeah, in terms of who would benefit from Prasparkas, Blackburn, Morfitt, I think it's Amy McDonald for Prasparkas, Pritchard for Blackburn, and Morfitt. I'm not really sure if anyone will benefit a great deal. Probably almost probably go down in terms of your midfielders and stuff. But next week Morfitt should be back, so I think that's probably how that would go. And then Ben Hayes got this question. He said, hey guys, overranked 577, doing Serene Watson to Hendry, Conti to Ali Anderson, and Sheriff to Huntington. So thoughts on those trades, boys? Jaiden, what are your thoughts?
I think that would leave a decent amount of cash because 2 of those are downgrades. Yeah, fairly similar to what I'm doing, I guess. So I kind of have to say that I like it.
Yeah, I like the trade as well.
I don't know about this. I don't know how I feel about this Conti to Ali Anderson trade. I don't know. Something about it doesn't sit well with me because I feel like we're putting a lot of our eggs in the first double game round basket. Like Conti has a double game round the very next week. And I know you were going to be targeting players like Riddell and Garner and those sort of North Melbourne players in that week, but by doing that, if you're going for those North Melbourne players, you've not net gained any more plus like double game rounds, if that makes sense. So yeah, on its merits, you sort of, are you trading Conti to Anderson, and do you think that is an upgrade regardless of if you think there's going to be a different amount of games played? Like if you think, like say there were no double game rounds, would you normally do that trade? And I don't think many of us would.
You do. It's a good point, very good point that you raise. I guess it's probably just trying to get in. The Warriors, I guess, with Conti this week, she's got Sydney, probably going to get tagged, but then she's got Carlton, which we know is such a good matchup. Then she's got a double, which is against North Melbourne and Port, which you expect Marie Malone to go to Conti in that game, and then North Melbourne, but you'd still think Conti in a double game week still going to go well regardless. So it is a good point that you raised there. It's definitely something I've sort of considered. I guess I'm still just going that way there. I'm actually just having a look if I can do one thing instead.
The thing for me was like to get. I can understand it because you can ride Conti this week, just get through this week, and then you're set. Like you've got best matchup and then the double. The thing was that I couldn't really get the 5th rookie off the field this week, even if I got rid of Edmonds. Like it would be ideal to trade out the 5th rookie, but I couldn't really make it work yet. So I'm kind of going sideways. I'm going to be pretty aggressive. Like right now, I'm trading Marinoff next week. No worries.
Come on, yeah.
So like I'm just going to play pretty aggressive, and like I don't know who I'm trading it to yet, but it could just be getting Conti back. So like, yeah, I don't know. So I'm just going to play pretty aggressive because I don't know. I don't really see any other way to kind of do it.
Yeah, it's a good shout. There's Mitch getting excited because someone else is trying to get married off, but he's not going to be the only one.
It's a lot of fun on this side over here, man. I'm having a blast. Come and join me.
Yeah, well, because I was actually going to see if I could just do my final midfield upgrade to like a Benici or something instead and keep Conti, but because I traded Conti out last night to not lock in trades, I can't do that. Conti's locked out for me. So, but yeah, I still think I'm still
into it because you've already committed.
Yeah, I'm still looking at bringing Conti back in round 5 anyway. That would be my goal is to.
But when are you trying to bring in Riddell? I thought that was your target.
Well, my plan is to bring one of Garner or Riddell in next week, and then would be to
ahead of.
Then the following week you'd get the other two. That's probably I guess that's why I probably stick with Anderson, because if I want Anderson next week, I feel like out of the two I want her over Benici, and if I don't get Benici next week, then oh well, it is what it is. I think I'd.
Yeah, if you're stuck with one, it'd be Anderson, right? Like she's going to be better.
Yeah, and that's partly why I'll probably go her, and that's probably why I made that decision. Just because, think about it. If I want Conti, Riddell, and Garner in round 5, I want one in next week, meaning I probably unlikely to get Benici, or just be Benici next week or Conti the week after is probably what I'll weigh up. But yeah, interesting. But that is where we'll cut it though, because we got what's that? Just over about 18 minutes, before we no, hang on, that's a bit more. 23 minutes, before the game starts, but we'll get final teams about 18 minutes. So we'll leave it there. But Mitch, mate, for anyone that missed at the start, your trades this week and your captain?
I've got 2 trades locked in. Hosking to Schilling, which happened last night, and then I'm going Wendland to Ramos. And I was going to do the O'Sullivan move, but I think I'm going to not do that now, and try and bank a little bit more cash and just, I don't know. I don't know what my last trade's going to be. It might be something like maybe even a Hodder down to Sullivan or something like that. She wasn't
got double next week.
I know she does, but Sullivan has it in a couple of weeks, and I don't know if I'm going to be spending many trades in the forward and defense line. I might just be trying to keep it all my forward line. I'm sorry, my midfield. I don't know. Maybe
Hodder does have the West Coast and Bulldogs.
She does,
double next week.
So yeah, the bottom line is I don't know what I'm going to do with my third trade, but I'm going to be trying to keep probably at least sort of 300,000-400,000 in my bank so I can get that goodie up to Anderson sort of trade next week. So I need to make sure I bank a lot of cash to make that trade possible. So whatever my last trade will be, it'll be with that in mind.
Yep. Jaiden, your trades this week?
I'm going Sheriff to Huntington, and in the midfield, I'm doing Conti to Anderson and Matty Prasparkas to Benici. The reasoning is you pretty much have to do like kind of 1 week trades in this format with the prices. So I'm banking on Conti with the high break even, get tagged, maybe cheap next week, and hopefully have everything set up for next week already. So then I can, I don't know, kind of be ahead. I don't know. I'll go with that.
Yeah. And then my trades, I went Lulu Beatty to Best Shelling. I've then also gone Jess Allen down to I'd gone down to Lily Pierce to play Olisho Downfield, and then I've gone Conti to Anderson as my trade this week, preparing for the double game week next week. So that's what we're looking at there. But boys, it's another one in the books. Mitch, mate, where can the people find you across socials? And also got some basketball content that's started kicking off with the season railway.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter or X at Ball Boys Fantasy. And if you are into your fantasy basketball, check out the Ball Boys Fantasy Basketball YouTube channel and podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out. Videos will be coming maybe 1 to 2 a week, maybe a little bit more coming up at the beginning or just before the season starts. We'll start maybe churning out a few more depending on how I go with just fitting my life around it. But yeah, we've got some new content coming out for the basketball fans out there, so check us out.
Yep, make sure you check it out. Jade, mate, where can people find you and the website?
Yeah, statsbudjaden.com.au. Pretty much, hopefully, everything you need. I'm adding a few more things soon. Finally figured out some coding stuff. So, yeah, stay tuned. There'll be some more stuff up there. Break even, fixture, everything is already on there. So,
yeah, beautiful. Now, make sure you go and check the man out. It does a lot of hard work, and it does help a lot in AFL and AFLW Fantasy as well. So make sure you check it out. And you can find me at BallsDT across the socials. You can find us at AFL Fantasy Fans on Twitter as well. We'll be back on Monday or Sunday, undecided yet, but it'll be probably a live show this time, just because of the Tuesday games coming up, obviously with midweek games starting. So we'll let people know, but it'll be either Sunday night after the final game or Monday at probably 5:30 Eastern. So, but we'll let everyone know when we're doing that on the socials as well. Good luck for round 3. Hopefully everyone's trades go well. Get prepared for the double game weeks, and we'll chat to you guys next week. So have a good weekend, guys. Catch you later. See ya.